As regular viewers will know, I take freight handling on Peckforton Light Railway seriously and often use a bespoke computer program to determine which wagons will go where during running sessions. However, sometimes I revert to other methods. On this occasion, I used a freebie weighted random list app on my phone. This particular app is called Rand1, but in the past I have used a similar app called Weighted Random List Generator. Basically, it allows me to create weighted random destinations for various categories of wagons. More information at the end of the video for those who want to know more. At the start of the session, I used the app to decide which wagons would be dispatched from the main station, Beeston Market, and where they should be sent. I then jotted this information down. The first goods service of the day is the morning mixed. I picked 2 wagons from the list which were destined for Bickerton station, as I felt this would make life easier for our hapless passengers and also for me. Once these wagons had been marshalled to the rear of the train, it was ready to depart. As no shunting was required during the outward journey, we'll skip ahead in time to see the mixed arriving at Bickerton, the furthermost terminus of the line. A quick consultation with the app, and I decided to attach one of the cattle wagons it had picked out to be sent back to Beeston Market. This was shunted onto the train, and the 2 wagons from Beeston Market, an open and a flat wagon, were shunted off. The up mixed was then ready to depart. I really must replace that brake van roof. 3D printed roofs don't seem to enjoy being out in the sun. With no further shunting required at intermediate stations, as the train travelled up the line, the mixed eventually steamed back into Beeston Market Station. In addition to shunting off the cattle wagon, the mixed train's loco, Bagnall number 11, picked up a tanker wagon, which the last up-ore train had discarded when propelling its skips into the exchange siding. The 2 wagons, plus the brake van, were then deposited in the sidings. Later on in the day, the manifest generated by the app was consulted once more to decide which wagons should be incorporated into the daily pickup goods consist. To aid my memory, I placed markers, in the form of pennies, on the wagons in the yard which would be needed for the train. Naismith and Wilson Loco number 21 Broxton was steamed up and, after a fair bit of shunting to retrieve the wagons, set off down the line with that day's pickup goods. The first port of call was Beeston Castle, where the Clemenson 6-wheeled coal wagon needed to be dropped off. The app was consulted once more to see if any wagons needed to be picked up. Just the one empty coal wagon was identified, and so this was retrieved from Francis Coal Merchant's siding before the Clemenson wagon was deposited. With shunting finished for now at Beeston Castle, the pickup goods headed off down the line to Peckforton, where it coasted to a halt on the passing loop. At Peckforton, Houston Gate Loco Works No. 15 Doris, which normally potters about the sawmill sidings, took over. A bolster wagon and 2 livestock wagons needed to be shunted off the train. And a box van and a flat wagon with a tractor load needed to be shunted on. Once it had the all clear, the pickup goods progressed onwards until it reached the sawmill siding, where an open wagon loaded with sacks of grain needed to be delivered. As this siding is down-facing, it's much easier for the pickup goods to drop off this wagon while it was on its way down the line. On its way once more, the pickup goods could now proceed directly to Bickerton, as no shunting was going to be required on the way down at Bukeley, as will be explained later. At Bickerton, the app informed us that 2 cattle wagons were to be added to the train, plus an open wagon loaded with building materials, destined for Bukeley. So now, on arrival at Bukeley, the train comes to a halt beside the main goods siding to allow the builder's wagon to be dropped off. However, before that, the app tells us that a wagon load of logs and a flat wagon loaded with agricultural equipment needs to be extracted from the siding. The logistics of shunting operations never ceases to lose its appeal for me, which is why I like devising various ways of generating freight traffic movements. The app doesn't keep track of which wagon is where on the system, and so is just right for impromptu operating sessions like this. Without the app, I probably wouldn't have thought of moving the builder's open wagon just 1 station further along the line, but it is quite a logical move when you come to think of it. With shunting operations now completed, the train can move on. There's no need to stop at Peckforton, Doris having done all that was necessary there, and so, with the line clear ahead, the pickup goods can now steam onwards towards Beeston Castle Station. Although the train has already shunted coal wagons at Beeston Castle, it also needs to leave a couple of wagons in the brewery siding, which is up-facing, and so it's easier for this to be done when the train returns up the line. And now, having carried out its duties, the pickup goods can return to Beeston Market Station, where it will shunt off its wagons into the relevant sidings, one serving the cattle dock, one for coal, and the others for general goods wagons, and then the driver can return the loco to the shed, where the fire can be dropped and the loco given a good clean-up. But of course, that's not the end of freight movements for the day. The afternoon mixed train has to deliver the 2 remaining wagons which the app had picked out. A coal wagon and an open wagon with a mixed load, both intended for Bukeley. With no other freight movements required on the way, the mixed can progress down the line like any normal passenger service. Until it reaches Bukeley. After arriving, and waiting until an up-ore train has cleared the platform, loco number 11 can shunt the coal wagon at the head of the train towards the down-facing coal siding. The app has decided that an empty coal wagon needs to be removed, and then the loaded wagon can be shunted into the siding. The empty wagon can then be placed at the head of the train. All this while the passengers have remained undisturbed in the coaches, maybe watching the locos manoeuvring with interest. The loco then makes a sprightly start before coasting down Gallantry Bank to the terminus at Peckforton. Arriving once more at Buckley, the up mixed pulls into what is normally the down platform road, to facilitate the loco's final shunting operation of the journey, thus, once more, causing minimal inconvenience to the passengers. The open wagon, with its mixed load, is shunted off the train and into the up-facing general goods siding. The loco then returns to the head of the train. The milk churn wagon, by the way, remains on the train throughout, allowing full churns from late milking to be collected and empty churns to be dropped off. With no further shunting to be carried out en route, the up-mixed eventually steams back into Beeston Market Station. So, for those who are interested, here is how the app works. Firstly, of course, it needs to be downloaded from the Play Store onto your Android mobile device. Once installed, the first job is to create what is called a note by clicking the highlighted plus button. The note is then given a title. In this example, I'll create weightings needed to determine where a loaded coal wagon might be sent out from the main terminus Beeston Market, and so I'll call it Coal Out. Next, I need to list all the possible destinations for a coal wagon, and beside each one, a percentage likelihood that the wagon could be sent there. So, here you can see I've weighted Beeston Market as 30%, so there's a high likelihood that the wagon won't go anywhere. There's a coal merchant's at Beeston Castle, and so there's a fairly high weighting at 20% that it could be sent there. Peckforton and Buckley are equally likely at 10%, while the copper mine and mill siding are fairly low at only 5%. Peckforton, like Beeston Castle, is also 20%, as that's the end of the line. I then created further notes for vans, timber, wagons for the brewery, sack wagons, pit props, miscellaneous, and another set of notes for the same wagons when they were out at stations to decide the likelihood that they may or may not return home, or sometimes, like the builder's open wagon, be sent to another station. So here's how it works. I go through each wagon at the station, deciding what type of wagon it is, and then use the app to decide whether it should stay or whether it should be sent somewhere. Clicking the dice button gives it a destination. I then jot the destinations down and, well, that's it. Obviously, in practice, the weightings have to be adjusted if I find that too many or too few wagons are remaining or being sent to a particular destination. But it's easy to change the weightings. The hardest part is making sure they all add up to 100.